Now that you smashed that like button, now we're going to talk about some smashing football here because we've got Arsenal versus Chelsea in the FA Cup final. Obviously, we know that Arsenal has kind of had a bad season, to say the least. Chelsea, on the other hand, has had a great season. Obviously, this is going to be a tale of two different teams. Sean, I know that you're a Pulisic fan. I know that you kind of ride high on the American. But do you think that Arsenal versus Chelsea, who do you got in this final?
Yeah, so in this FA Cup final, I'm going to go with Arsenal. I think they've been in really good form, and Chelsea has gone back and forth. They've been a little shaky at times. Arsenal's actually looked a lot stronger in this final, kind of quarter of the season, and they've made a good push. They also have a lot more on the line, I think, than Chelsea does. If you look at Arsenal, they're in danger of not qualifying for Europa League. And so if they win this, they'll automatically qualify. And I think that that's a deal breaker for them. If they want to keep, Aubameyang and some of their other good players, they're going to need to satisfy them by at least making one extra top league because they're not going to be in Champions League. So when you look at it, I think that Aubameyang's been in really good form. They have some well-rested pieces. They've been working well together with a 3-4-3, using 3 center backs, 2 wing backs. And I think that they've just been attacking and passing a lot better. I do really like Pulisic. I'm not going to lie. Pulisic's probably my favorite player in the Premier League right now. Gotta love the American. He slashes and he scores, but I don't think Lampard likes him that much. He didn't play in the last game. Maybe they were resting him. We're going to have to see on that. But Chelsea's probably going to be in the Champions League. And so for them, I think they have less on the line here when it comes down to August 1st for this FA Cup final. And so I'm going to go with Arsenal, and I think it's going to be 2-1. It's going to be close, but I'm thinking that probably a goal from Aubameyang, Lacazette.
All right, I'm going to have to disagree with you on there. I think the problem I have with Arsenal is not to the fact that Aubameyang can't score goals or that Lacazette can't do his best job at tracking down the ball, kind of almost playing a midfielder role that he did against my team Liverpool when we lost 2-1, I think, to them. So the problem I have with Chelsea or with Arsenal is the fact that David Luiz is still back in defense. I think that he's an accident waiting to happen. There's going to be a goal scored on him. Bellerin, there's an APB out for him, wondering, is he going to be a wing back? Is he going to be a midfielder? Like, we don't know about those two. And I think that because Chelsea has guys like Pulisic, like a Mount, like Kovacic, I think that's how you pronounce it. They have a lot of good players on their team, and I think that Lampard wants to win a trophy this season because he wants to prove to everyone that he's in it for the long haul, that he's in it to win champion trophies. And obviously we know that the FA Cup isn't as glamorous as it once was, but nevertheless it's still a trophy that is well respected in English football. Listening to the stories that my dad tells me about the FA Cup and whatnot, because he lived in England, he talks about the streets and how wild they are when someone wins when they win a trophy. And I just think that for me, Chelsea has the pieces, and I think they're looking and they're hungry. They're a young team. I think that they're hungry for a championship and they're hungry to win their first trophy under Lampard. I believe it's the first trophy.
I think Chelsea has the better players, but I think Arsenal's in the better form. Arsenal just beat Man City and Liverpool back to back. That I don't know if there's any other team in the Premier League that can claim that they did that or have even won games against them this season. Those have been some pretty unstoppable teams. And so when I look at this, I think Arsenal definitely has worse players than Chelsea, and I think David Luiz can be a huge liability. But when it comes down to it, I think that they're in the better form. But it is exciting here. We got 2 first-year coaches in Lampard and Arteta going off, facing off. Who's going to be able to, make the strategic plays? Are we going to see the newly extended Saka play? Who's going to be in the starting lineup for each one? Is Pulisic going to get a start? I think it's going to be a really interesting FA Cup final.
For sure. And just to kind of clarify, you said 2-1 to Arsenal. I'm going with a 3-0 victory for Chelsea.
Oh, wow. You got a blowout.
I got a blowout just because I know David Luiz is an accident waiting to happen. But speaking of a team that Arsenal beat, Man City, a team that kind of was in the purgatory waiting about the financial fair play situation that was going on with them. If you guys don't know, of course, they were suspended from Champions League play, so it was very exciting for the teams in the lower ones to just kind of be like, this might be the chance where we actually get into the Champions League. You know, whether it was a Sheffield United before the whole coup happened, whether it was these other teams like Man United, Chelsea, and whatnot. But now we come to find out that the ruling on it was that it was too harsh. They decided that Man City was just going to have to pay a fine and that they were kind of off the hook. Sean, I know that this seems like a big blow, but what do you think about this whole situation with Man City and their financial fair play?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as Man City goes, they hired a massive team of lawyers and they spent, tens of millions on these lawyers to go in and fight this battle. And they've been saying since the beginning that they felt that the judgment wasn't fair and the rules weren't actually valid and they weren't legal, the ones that were allegedly broken. And so when you look at this, I think, Man City, this is everything. Everything was on the line for them here. They are, potentially would lose De Bruyne. Lots of players would decide not to come to Man City because they don't want to sit out for 2 years in Champions League. It's a top club, but when you're banned from Champions League, you're not going to draw a lot of interest from those top players and those top signings. And so looking at this, I think that legally speaking, it was a fair play and it was a fair case. And I do think that a 2-year ban may have been a little too severe, and I think that FIFA kind of overplayed their hand, and they really kind of ended up shooting themselves in the foot in this case, because when it came down to the legal arguments, Man City came out on the winning end there, according to the judges. And so lowering that, I think it was like a 20 million euro fine and 2-year ban just to 10 million euros. That's a huge win for Man City. And that, it is a shame for, Leicester or some other clubs that were, battling right there along the line to get in the Champions League. But I think at the end of the day, Man City is a top team in football. I don't see, their violations being anything massive that would draw those kind of bans. And I think that, there may have been some type of bias that caused that initial reaction of a 2-year suspension.
I just think what this sets a precedent for, and obviously we've seen teams like PSG kind of go through the same thing as well, is that basically the financial fair play doesn't exist, because obviously financial fair play was introduced to make sure that all the teams were financially kind of in the same level field. We saw that they were losing a lot of money before financial fair play was introduced when it came to these big clubs. And then once it got introduced, we saw a revenue growth for these clubs. And I think the problem that I'm having with the Man City thing is that you basically just said that you can break the rules if you just pay a small little fine. It's like, basically what I find frustrating about this whole situation is that Man City basically just kind of paid off, in my opinion, the UEFA or whoever it was that was kind of looking at them. Obviously they're going to have to battle through the Premier League now, because the Premier League is also looking into this. But I just think that they basically just won on the fact that they just paid a little fine and they were like, well, it wasn't really that bad. I just think, to me, what it kind of says is that we don't really care that Man City is, losing money here on, year after year, paying for these ridiculous players, not putting anything out in return for those players. And obviously there's some sponsorship shenanigans that's going on there as well. I just think this is a bad and a black eye for football, just due to the fact that there's no fairness in this, right? We see Liverpool doing it the right way, selling Coutinho, using that money that they got from Coutinho to finance their players, selling fringe players, obviously maybe overpriced, but at the same time, people have bought those players for those prices. And I just think that because Liverpool did it the right way, I think Liverpool's model is a lot better than Man City's model in terms of making money. And I think that a lot of clubs are seeing that. I think Arsenal, a team we talked about in the earlier segment, is one of the teams following that model. I think that that's a more fair way to do it than, doing it the Man City way or the PSG way, which is just to buy yourself out of doing it.
I mean, I don't necessarily like the fact in soccer that you can just, the club with the most money to throw around is going to be, end up being the best. You see it in a lot of leagues. I mean, with Barcelona, Real Madrid, you see it with in the Bundesliga too, with Bayern Munich. And so, I mean, for me, and correction on my previous statement, it was UEFA that put down the punishment, not FIFA. I really think that Man City does just kind of buy their way to these, championship spots, and it's their right to do that, and they don't really care too much about the profit margins. But at the end of the day, when you have a sustainable model like Liverpool, I think those teams will probably end up coming out on top, and I don't think this will be the last punishment that we see for a team like Man City in the near future, because they always seem to be kind of playing along the red lines of the law.
Yeah, and just kind of on that note, it's like they kind of finesse their finance books to kind of, say, well, we're in the red, but we can just kind of finesse it to where we can be on the green side, which is kind of like the okay side. But nevertheless, like I said, that's just, I could go on. We can go on about this. But I think another topic we should talk about, unfortunately, due to the COOF, we are going to be losing the Ballon d'Or winner. Because of it, obviously FIFA and UEFA has come out and said that they are not going to be hosting the Ballon d'Or this year due to the COOF. Sean, I know this is kind of sad news, but if you were in the shoes of FIFA, who would be your Ballon d'Or winner?
If I had to look at it, I would probably say, just with the results we have in front of us, and it's their right to cancel the award. I don't think the NBA is not going to cancel the MVP. I just don't think they should have canceled it. But if you look at, everyone's body of work, I think that this was probably the first time that someone outside of Messi and Ronaldo can really compete for it. And I think Lewandowski, I think he had 33 goals in all competitions. That's the most of any player. I think he was really in the position to win it for Bayern. And it's disappointing that we don't really get to see any parity there. I know a lot of people on Twitter have been going off saying that, when it's not, their man, they're just going to cancel it because they believe that they're biased to Ronaldo and Messi. And so for me, I think that Lewandowski would have actually, had a shot to win this just based on his goal scoring total. And based on obviously Bayern's consistent top finish.
Yeah, for me, if I had to pick a winner, obviously this is going to be a biased pick. As a Liverpool fan, I'm going to go with Virgil van Dijk on this one. I think the fact that he is given up and the fact that he doesn't get depossessed as much as the other players, obviously we're taking into account what happened to totality through this whole year, which included last year, whenever the award started to when it ends. Van Dijk has obviously shown that he is a great defender, one of the best in the Premier League. I know that people, whether it's troll accounts on Twitter or whatnot, kind of view Virgil van Dijk as overpriced. I just think that he does a great job. Obviously, he's not the, some great sweeping defender like Sergio Ramos type of deal, or like a David Luiz where he has like free kick abilities and whatnot. But the fact that he just commands such a presence in this team, if it wasn't for Jordan Henderson, being such a great captain, he obviously is the vice captain of Liverpool. And I think that he's obviously a captain within himself for the defense. And I just think that the way that he commands the defense, commands Alisson, commands the whole field.
He's definitely the best center back in football.
Yeah. So I just think that, to me, I see him as the biggest winner of the Ballon d'Or. But
they really should kind of mix it up and, potentially give the Ballon d'Or to someone who's not just a forward like the entire time. So it just seems like, everyone other position gets cut out of the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just going to do it here for our soccer comments, guys. Of course, like we said, we talked about the Arsenal versus Chelsea situation for the Wimbledon final. Who's going to win that? Let us know in the comment section down below. FA Cup. I call it Wimbledon just because it's I'm confused. But nevertheless, we have also Man City. Financial fair play. Do you guys think that they should be off the hook? Do you guys agree with the punishment? Disagree? Let us know in the comment section down below. And also